Father in heaven, we thank you, Lord, for this opportunity you've blessed us to be at CAM Meeting 2025. May you bless us as we get into this afternoon discussion. We pray for the panel, we pray for all the members, the congregants. May your Holy Spirit lead us and guide us as we discuss this important subject of stewardship. This we pray in your mighty name, O Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. So this afternoon we're going to have a stewardship lesson. We may take our seats. Thank you. A stewardship lesson led by Maima Fanuke. And we also have a panel that is there to assist us in this discussion. And welcome again to our live audience. Are we streaming? Yes. So in this lesson, we'll also like you to participate, our live audience. If you have any questions or contributions, today would like to read out your contributions and also your questions. And also the members that are here with us, we're encouraged to all participate in this discussion. So Maima Fanuke is going to come and give us an introduction and then also introduce the panel that she has with her. So let's sit back, relax, and enjoy the lesson. And a question and answer segment will be availed towards the end of the presentation so that we all discuss and exhaust anything that we have or anything that we intend to know more about stewardship. So thank you so much. And I'll hand over this time to Mama Maima Fanuke. Thank you.
Good afternoon. How are we this afternoon? We are fine. Okay. In the morning, how many of us enjoyed the stewardship lesson this morning when we were studying? Okay, thank you. So this afternoon, we are again going to continue with the stewardship lesson. We are expecting that this is going to be more interactive. And so to kickstart this discussion, I have a panel with me here. This panel is going to start by giving us a brief overview of holistic stewardship. I'm sure all of you appreciate the fact that stewardship is a very broad subject, which really has a lot of aspects. And normally you need a lot of time to study and learn more and more about it. But this afternoon, they will give us just a brief overview. After that brief overview, we will then focus on aspects of stewardship which are affecting our local church as Harare City Center Church. We expect all of us to participate. So after they've introduced themselves, I will be asking questions as the moderator this afternoon so that you can be able to benefit from their presentations. Then we'll also give you an opportunity to ask questions as well. So I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Mrs. Alice Mafanuke. I'm a chartered accountant by profession. I love stewardship because I learned a lot in stewardship. And it is my hope and prayer that this afternoon, when we have done our discussions together, we can learn more and more, and somebody's life is going to be changed for better after this discussion. So for now, I'm handing over to our panelists to introduce themselves.
Good afternoon, church. My name is McLaren Mandaza. I'm a member of the Hccc.
No, we are not. Oh, okay, to move this over so that we can be seen. Is that what we do? Please come a bit closer. Okay.
It's okay. You can go.
Some gentlemen in this way.
Once again, afternoon, church. My name is McLaren Mandaza, and a disclaimer, I'm not a medical doctor, as some think. I'm a humanitarian development expert. I love stewardship as a lifestyle.
My name is Victor Tchareva. I'm a member of City Center Church. I'm also a serving elder of Harare City Center Church. And I'm a mining entrepreneur. And I love God.
My name is Dr. Ngaite Nkomo Chimbandi. God made it possible for me to participate in this world as development management expert, also in governance, developing systems and policies for organizations, and also God blessed me so much that I was even advising governments on issues.
My name is Emily Maposa. Currently, I'm the Stewardship Director at Harare City Center Church.
I forgot to say I'm retired, but still very active.
Amen to that. Okay, so now we know our specialists, our panelists, and what they are doing here, or what they are doing in life, so that you can also have an appreciation of their professions and what they do and the contributions that they are going to make this afternoon. I'll start by asking Dr. Chimbandi. They say successful people have a set of habits that they do, and one of them is waking up early in the morning. Is the organization of time important to me as a steward?
As a steward, I can say as a human being and as a son and a daughter of God, your life revolves around time 24 hours. And God divided those 24 hours into 8 for your social life and family, another 8 for your work, another 8 for you to rest. So within those 8 hours, you have to balance your work, because God foresaw that in the future, His creation has been mad. There will be jobs which people work, like the watchmen, the guards, they sleep during the day. But you have to make sure that within those 24 hours, your work, you balance it, in particular, the spiritual side of life. That is the most important thing, because we exist solely to serve God. We exist solely to fulfill the purpose of what God has brought us to this earth to do. That is the most important question. Each one of us, you should ask yourself, why are you in this world? Why do you exist? What is God's purpose in your life?
Thank you, Doc. When you read the book Proverbs 22, verse 29, it reads, "Seest thou a man diligent in his business? He shall stand before kings. He shall not stand before mean men." So, taking care of our time as stewards is very, very important, because we need to be effective. You know, I took the time to also find out about meanings. Normally when I do presentations, I never bother about this thing of saying, what's the definition? But today I said, let me do it differently also and go look for the definition. And it says, stewardship is about service. It's us serving other human beings and God using resources that He has given in us, to us in trust. So which means we have to be conscious of the fact that ultimately we report to a master who has given us these gifts that we need to use in His mission. Remember that our theme is what? In mission. If I'm going to try and explain it in a more simplified way, I would say we have a master, and this master has a work that needs to be accomplished here on earth. So in order for that work to be accomplished on earth, He then assigns each and every one of us something to do so that He can effectively get the work completed. Meaning then that each and every one of us has something that we have been given by God, which we need to use as stewards, which at the end of the day, we will need to report. Now let me go to Victor. They say everyone is born with a talent. Remembering that our talents are not our own. Knowing that we are stewards who are managing something which is not ours. What role does talents play in a steward's life for mission?
Thank you very much. I think talents is one of those important things which we all have. And I think it's important as well to say what are talents. And as Maima Fanuka alluded to, you always want to start off with a little bit of Webster. Webster the dictionary, not my brother. Yes, it's talents are not just money. Obviously, biblically, they did cover a money aspect, but these are our God-given abilities, resources, and opportunities. Why we even mentioned what we do is because those are some of the things that we do from Sunday to Friday. And these are some of the things we can also do to further God's work. In other words, some people are very good at singing. Some people are very good at communication. We can see the communication department. Some of these people actually have other jobs elsewhere, but they are here helping out. So I think it draws me back to Matthew 25, where he talks about the servants. Because if you are a steward, you are a servant. Where they were given talents, 5, 2, 1. And these people were allowed to keep these talents, to do something with them. The master went away. He came back. And some had doubled them. Isn't from 5 to 10, from 2 to 4. But there's one who had buried. So it's also something that touches on the aspects of we can be given these God-given talents, and we can actually end up, it's either we can multiply them, we can do more. You realize that the person who sings does so many things in church, because some of them increase. I remember I used to run away from music in Form 1, and that's where my bass just, stopped. It couldn't go further, like Mzingo's, isn't it? So that's a talent nurtured. And then everyone is born with a talent. So we can't say some have talents, some don't have talents. We all have talents. And God expects us to use these talents to further His work. And when He comes, we have to give an account of what we've done with these talents. When we're stewards, we're basically caretakers. We're just holding, and we're meant to utilize until the master returns. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Victor. I just wanted to add on something. You mentioned about improving the talents. You also mentioned the fact that we are going to be accountable. And there's yet another part that we are supposed to improve our talents, so that the things that we use our talents as service to God has to be at its excellent best. Because then we see here, we see in that parable which you referred to, that the person who did not improve their talent, it was taken away from them. It was actually given to another person. So our talents have to be improved. God cannot be satisfied if we just say, this is my talent, then you just leave it like that. It has to be improved to come to its best level. Like when we see Elder Mangena coming in and making announcements, and he is the person who is the voice of the church, he has to improve that talent to a level that anybody who listens to him will say, there goes excellence. So which means everything that we do, as we have been given by God in the form of talents, has to be for his service, but it must be improved to its level best. Have you seen what normally happens? Is that when a person is growing in a church, maybe you are still young, you are still finding your way, then when you finally identify your talent and you start doing well, have you seen how pompous we tend to be? Somebody that used to be available and singing, choristering to us while they were trying to, to groom their talent. When they are there at that level, now they are unavailable to even give us one song. Have you seen that? That's exactly what tends to happen. And then these talents are meant for service in the church. Okay. Now let me ask Amy, Mrs. Maposa. In Malachi chapter 3, verse 10, God says, bring ye all the tithes and offerings where? Into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house. And prove me now herewith, says the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it. What role does the talent of treasure play in my life as a steward?
All right. I think the most important thing that we should know as stewards, I think from the fact that as a steward, you are taking care of, it can be property, it can be whatever you've been entrusted to take care of. That means you're taking care of it for someone. And as God, he is the creator. I think we can all refer to Psalms 24 verse 1, which says, the earth is the Lord's, and everything in it, the world and all who live in it. And even the cattle on 1,000 hills. Vanemombe, that's a mari. Whatever you have is the Lord's. Even treasure, it's the Lord's. So here we're being told, try me. God is telling you to try him, to give him back what belongs to him. So treasure, really, even in mission, treasure is needed. Even right here where we are sitting here, treasure was used to bring us here. So even in sharing the word, I think we have experienced the Zundes in the recent years. It's treasure that was put into use to make sure that the word went out there. So I think it's a challenge to all of us to realize that whatever you have in your bank account, whatever you have at your house, it is the Lord's. Let's return it to the Lord. And he is saying to us, try me. And I think we have some testimonies which will be shared of how people have contributed to the word of to the word of God through treasure. And then for me as well, of course, I hope the elders will not. Okay, what I would say is, for now, it's my first time to be in stewardship department. But for the past years, I was in treasury. And I learned a lot of things. Even people who also return, you should see their slips, how they are so organized and completed. And that showed me that some people would sit down and plan and then submit. So let's all know that the Lord is saying, try me. I know we are so afraid. But in Dova Kupa, let's imagine our children. You have a house and you say, children, this is the house where you are staying. And I've brought you sweets. And you ask for that sweet, you ask for that apple. Okay. No, we're talking about stewardship. Yeah, we're talking about stewardship and even health as well. It's part of it, yeah. But now you purchase a box of apples and you give your children, and now you ask for one apple from the box, and those children will refuse. I think for me, what I always say is, as a parent, when God makes you a parent, it helps you to understand how God feels. Because now you say, but you guys, I'm the one who brought these things. And they are now refusing to give you what you brought them. So it's the same with God. He's saying, my children, let's put in the money to send out the word out there. The money that I gave you. And the good thing about God is he will not remind you every day, like what parents do. Because like, now you don't want to give me this. I bought you this. But God will never say that. Because he has gave us that option to choose and to do things willingly. So I think in treasure, we have to be willing. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Emmy. One thing that I also want to add on is that it's not God's plan that we should live from paycheck to paycheck. How many of us are living from paycheck to paycheck? Let me see. Are you living from paycheck to paycheck? Let me see, raise your hands if you are doing that. There's no need for you to lie to me or to pretend as if you don't. Maybe even my panelists, are you living from paycheck to paycheck? It's not God's plan. God's plan is that we should multiply our treasure until we have enough. And we need to learn those skills of how to take care of our personal finances. Personally, that's an area which really does, it's a burden to my heart. Because you see, some people get lots of money, but in a day, they are broke. Some people probably don't even have that much money, but it can last them a whole month. It's all about knowing how to take care of your personal finances. God will not come to do that for us. I want you to know that God is saying, I've given you the brain to think, to reason, to study and know. So he is not going to come and say, now this is how you are going to take care of your finances. We are supposed to do that. In the Bible, we have the story in 2 Kings chapter 4 of a man of God, like Pastor Laverne, who left his family after he had died. He left his family in debt to an extent that the children were almost being sold. Do you remember? Because of debt. That story is teaching us to say, you know what? We need to learn to also take care of what? Of our personal finances. So apart from returning our tithes and offerings, whatever is left behind, we need to learn to know as stewards how to take care of it. Now let me ask Dr. McLaren. By the way, Dr. McLaren, there was something that is funny and interesting. I thought Dr. McLaren was a medical doctor. So we laughed when I had given him this topic to say, please tell us about this area of stewardship. And then he says to me, I hope it was not given to me because on the pretext that you think I'm a medical doctor. But that's exactly what I had done, so I had a good laugh about it. Dr. McLaren, how important is it to take care of one's body as a steward? Does it have anything to do with my salvation?
Thank you so much. So I've always heard statements whenever we talk about stewardship of the body or the importance of a plant-based diet. Some people say, what is the point of dying healthy? After all, we are just all going to die. So if you ask me, that's a very, very suicidal statement.
Yes.
So in fact, when we check the suicide rate for Zimbabwe, it's around 22%, sadly, which means 1 in 5. But there's also soft suicide that we do, and that number and that statistics could even be more because we are also self-killing ourselves silently by the habits that we do. So when we talk of stewardship of the body, it's premised on the fact that we are God is created and we are God is redeemed. So we belong to God twofold. One, by creation, and 2, by redemption. So this has everything to do with our salvation. So when we read 1 Corinthians, when Paul was writing to the Corinthians, 1 Corinthians 6, verse 19 to 20, he says, "Do you not know that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, who dwells in you, whom you have from God, and you are not your own? For you were bought at a price. Therefore glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which other God is." So we are very fortunate to belong to a church which advances the health message, that is the stewardship of the body. If we check statistics worldwide, the life expectancy of Adventists is higher than average than people who are not Adventists. I'm not giving you assurance that you are going to die later than your siblings, no. But because of our consciousness to health and the stewardship of the body that we do, our life expectancy is also high, and also because of the Mediterranean diet. So just think of it that when God says we are not our own, the bodies that we have, they are not our own. One of the mistakes that we think or that we do is to think that we live to ourselves. So we are supposed to use our bodies to the glorification of God. God wants us to be health for us to proclaim his message. God wants us to be health, to be where we are, to be used as his vessels. So our prayer is that may the Lord God help us realize that stewardship of the body has everything to do with our salvation. In fact, when we take care of our bodies, right, when we are intentional and deliberate in taking care of whatever we take care of our bodies, we are bound to have a clearer mind. We have read from the spirit of prophecy how diet distorts our reasoning or our mind, right, leading to sin. So at the end, who is the steward? So we are stewards, right? So if you take the acronym stewards, it starts with S, meaning that there should be sunlight. These are the basics that you know. The T for trust, the E for exercise, the W for water, the A for air, and the D for diet. And then we also have the R for rest, then self-control, right? That's what it means to be stewards. So may the Lord God help us to realize that wherever we are, we should actually become stewards of our body, and it has everything to do for our salvation.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. McLaren. The book Patriarchs and Prophets, page 362, paragraph 1 reads, "To the Church of Christ in all ages is addressed the solemn and fearful warning. If any man defile the temple of God, him shall God destroy. For the temple of God is holy, which temple ye are." 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 17. So you can see that the aspect of taking care of our bodies is very, very important for both our salvation and also for our life. One of the books that she writes, Mrs. White says, if graves could be labeled the causes of death, majority of the graves will actually be labeled died because of issues of health. So we need to be careful on how we take care of our bodies. So our panelists have just given us holistic stewardship, all the aspects of stewardship, just in brief, as they have done. Now, we want to go to issues of stewardship, which we believe are affecting our church. Now, before we do that, is there anybody who feels you've got something burning which you want to say or ask about what the panelists have presented on holistic stewardship before we zero in on the two aspects which are directly affecting our church? We've got roving mics in the audience. Just raise your hand and someone will give you a mic. Either it's a question or it's a contribution. Okay? Okay, I don't see any hands. Panelists, can you see anybody with a hand up? You don't see? Where? Oh, there's a hand? Okay. Okay, please raise your hand high. Okay.
Thank you so much for the insightful lesson. What I like most is on the aspect of stewardship and temperance. It's going to be difficult for you to be a faithful steward before God if you're not temperate as an individual. There's issues of stewardship of time. There are people who spend the whole day on social media. They will be jumping in between WhatsApp, Facebook, they go into Twitter, they go into this and that because they've lacked that aspect of saying, I've done too much of it. So we just challenge to say, let us first be temperate in our own as individuals, then we can extend the aspect of stewardship in our life. If you do it easier to bring back a faithful tithe and offering, because you know that now I'm going into God's territory, mine finished at 90%. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Elder Mkarikate has got his hand up.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to highlight as well, maybe following up to what she said, in terms of how you can be a good steward if you are disciplined. That's one of the things on the aspect that Dr. McLaren's talked about. If you look at, even Paul alludes this and gives the example to say, if you've got discipline of an athlete who is looking at a goal. So sometimes this stewardship of the body, if you exercise, you will notice that a lot of things, you actually teach yourself discipline, and that discipline can go into many other aspects of your life.
Okay.
So it can go to timekeeping, to the way you do work, because you are actually disciplining your body first. Because it's difficult now to discipline a lot of other things outside when you can't discipline your own body.
Okay.
And I mean, the church is very deliberate. This church even has an Adventist athletics club that allows people to come and be what? Be fit. And we actually, one of the mottos is fitness for what? For witnessing. Which means for us to witness even as we are doing, we have to be healthy. Otherwise, yes, we are all going to die. But you can't witness if you are on a bed.
Okay. That's very true. Dr. Ngaite has a few other things also to add before we get...
Thank you very much for the question of the issue of social media and all those other disruptions. We need the principle number one. We need to recognize the value of time. Just as I have spoken, I think 2 minutes, I will never be able to renew that time. Time is a gift from God. So, and also I liked the comment in terms of discipline. We need to discipline ourselves in terms of time management. Like I spoke about, I think I mentioned the issue of energy levels. You have to manage and balance your time and make sure each day, we normally have our diaries and so forth. Me, personally, I make sure I have scheduled routine things, urgent things, which I need to get rid of when my energy is still high or low. When it is high, and then I schedule again important things which I know can take me 4 or 5 hours when my energy level is high. When it is low, I do routine things. Normally, myself in the morning, I'm low. So that's the time I make sure I do all those things. When I have to wake up early, do my devotion, then social media with the family and friends and whatever, then I do the routine things. Then I schedule and block time for important things.
Thank you. Now, let's come closer home. Okay? Now, closer home, our church is City Center Church. We were given, how many of us attended the business meeting the other day? I'm just seeing a few numbers. Okay. I wish you had all come on that day, because we were given some statistics. The Seventh-day Adventist Church is a well-organized church. It has a system that's called systematic giving. How many of us know about systematic giving? Can I just see your hands? Okay. In brief, for those who don't know, what we do as a church is that we follow God's command. Because remember, we just read in Malachi chapter 3, where he says, bring all the what? Tithes and offerings into my what? Into the storehouse. So the system is that the tithes are taken over to go to the other higher office so that they can pay our pastors and also do some of the Lord's work. Then the offerings remain at the local church. In our offerings, there are a portion, I think these days actually 50% of the offerings go to the conference to do the other part of the work. The other 50% remains with us. In that pot, that's where we are supposed to run our expenses as a church. Remember that God's command, let me read it for you. God's command from Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 16 and 17, it says, 3 times in a year shall all thy males appear before the Lord thy God in the place which he shall choose, in the feast of unleavened bread, and in the feast of weeks, and in the feast of tabernacles, and they shall not appear before me empty-handed. Verse 7, every man shall give as he is able, according to the blessings of the Lord thy God, which he has given thee. Did you see the portion where on basis on why we should give offerings? It says it's based on what? If you were listening to the verse. On how the Lord is what? He's blessed us. So these offerings are supposed to come on that basis. So the 50% which has remained is the one that's supposed to cover all our expenses as a church. All our activities. Going for pathfinders, doing Dorcas meetings, doing AMO meetings, coming to camp, preaching the word, giving welfare. Everything is supposed to be done from that portion which remains. Now, our statistics, because remember that when we say to people, please bring $10 each person, that is not God's plan. Because his plans there is say what? According to how God is what? Has blessed you. So if we go to the club and we say, please give us $10 each, you are actually doing things that God has not said we should do. Because you are asking me, who is earning $100, to bring $10 for my child to belong to the club. And then you, who has grown and multiplied your wealth, maybe you've got 10,000 a month and you are bringing in $10. Can you see how that is not equal before God? God doesn't work like that. So if we follow systematic giving and we bring our offerings, we are going to have enough money to just say, okay, the pathfinders need to go and do this activity. The money comes from our budget, it goes and funds the pathfinder activity. Then you say, we need to go for camp meeting. All those who want to go to camp meeting, register. People put their names, they register. Then we say, to go to camp meeting, our expense is so much. Then we take the money from where? From the pot, and everybody goes for camp meeting. I don't know. Do you understand what I'm saying? That is the systematic giving that the church has. But now, listen to this. Our church, we gave so much. Because we are on air, I won't say the example amount, but we contributed so much in tithes. Right? Now, from those people that contributed that big amount in tithes, was only contributed by 25% of the church members. How is that? How do you feel about that as members, as stewards who are waiting for God? Remember, we just mentioned about how important stewardship is. And then, interestingly, from that 25%, only 9.5% are giving offerings. These 9.5 are saying tithe, and then they remember that there is offerings. So which means the other 16% is just saying tithe only. These people are saying, God has not blessed us, so we don't need to thank him for anything. So they just return tithe, which belongs to God. The other amount, they are not bothered. Which means they are saying somebody else is going to pay for the electricity that needs to be paid at church, or for the seat that I'm going to sit at church, or for the workers that need to be doing the work that is needed at the church. It's somebody else. And because we are not returning the what? The tithe. So now the question that I want to ask to us as the congregation, together with the panelists, what can we do to change this? To change this so that we can come back to the proper thing. Because believe you me, if we took our tithes, which we are actually returning, and we also returned the same amount as offerings, believe you me, we would be sitting pretty as a church. And we'll be able to meet all our expenses without any problems. That's a point of discussion for us. Please take the mics and give me the answers.
The answers are in the congregation. And there's an answer. There's someone I want to speak. She knows herself. She said something very interesting during our lesson in the morning about offerings and tithes. If you're saying the wrong one, I'll correct you. I'm listening.
Thank you. I think the question we have to reflect upon is, was Jesus a tithe or was he an offering? And that answer is, of course, the answer is he was an offering. And for us to struggle when we are told that God poured out all heaven, as Ellen White would say, for man's salvation, and we'll come and say, God needs to bless me first that I'll return something, it's an offense. And I just want to add on to this notion of waiting on someone else. When I was working for a certain organization, we would go for outreach programs. Basically, I'm trying to put it in layman language. And when we went to an area called Murambinda. How many of us know Murambinda? That one. So we went there, and when we were there, one of the things we realized was that, in fact, we invited people to come and receive legal education. When we invited them, we noticed that concurrently there was another NGO that was conducting another outreach program. And so we would then offer, not to offer, but then we would give them, because we're taking their time, probably an hour to 2 hours of the program, would give them probably $2 for food. You know, they sent someone for the area when we went, they sent someone to say, "Iyo varikupa mari because ugutukupi was $7." You know, and it was it was one of those things where this area was famous for the donor mentality, where they were so reliant on donors that they wouldn't farm. It was actually now a crisis where we're trying to help them because they were in a place where they would sit and say, no, the donor is coming. And they would not farm, they would not do anything. Any implements they were given, they would sell, they would start stealing from each other. The issues that were in that area were more about crime because of the donor mentality. So just to reinforce your point, to say we're killing ourselves, where we wait and see someone as the one who needs to do it all, and also where we forget that Christ was heaven's all, and God didn't wait for us. It was a plan that was made before the foundation of the earth.
Anybody else who wants to comment on how? Because we want to know, what can we do to change this? What can we do? Yeah, you can go ahead, Doctor, you can give a comment.
Okay, so if someone else prepares to answer, A story is told about a children's sermon where the teacher asked it, if you have got $1 million in your pocket, are you going to give it to the poor? All the children said, yes, 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 yes. Then he said, okay, if you've got 1,000, all of them he said, yes, we are going to give it. If you have got $100, then they said, yes, we are going to give it. Then the teacher goes to $1, right? Then one child said, no, 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 I can't give my $1. So it was because that child, she had $1 in her pocket. But when she was talking about the 1,000 and the million, she didn't have it. So many times we commit to give to the Lord. Said, God, if only I have 1,000, I'll be giving offerings and tithes. But when the $1,000 is now in our pocket, it's a different story altogether. So Malachi 3 verse 10 says, bring you all tithes and offerings so that there will be enough meat in my house. Try me and see if I'll not open the windows of heaven. So do we remember the story of Israel when God gave them the fields to work on? And they said, of all these fields, there's a portion of mine. But on the 7th year, a portion of my field should rest. But they went straight for 490 years without making the field of the Lord rest. But God had to come back and take that rest. If we divide 490 by 7, it's 70 years. Eventually, they were taken to captivity for 70 years. Could it be possible that some of the captivity that we are in could be a predicament of the tithe of God that we are driving? Yes. The tithe of God that we are wearing? The tithe of God that we are vacationing with?
Okay, I saw a hand. Yes, the person with the mic. Go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to say, with what you just said, that we have maybe the Pathfinder Club asking for $10 and all, it's a story of love. Because you are saying, if I bring back my offering, it means I'll take care of the other person who's not able to bring. But do I have that love for the brethren or sisterin to the extent that I'll give that extra to take care of them? Do we have love one for another as church members? Because we now know where the offering is going to go to. It's going to make sure that our programs run as a family. The one who has $10, one who earns $100, it will be invisible. So we lack love one for another. And the question is then about tithe. It could be an issue of culture. I was born in the church. I was told that if you take tithe, you are stealing from God. So there's so much about it that I'm scared of stealing that tithe because of what will happen to me. Not even about what? The love of that same God. But I'm literally protecting me to say, maybe I'll develop leprosy, like the cases of taking from God. So I'm thinking maybe it could be an enriched story amongst ourselves to say, can we develop that love one for another, that we are going to cover each other's torn clothes and they're not going to be visible through our sacrificial offerings, which are a sign of love, as my Mfundisi mentioned, that the story of Jesus was that of what? Of not tithe, but offering, sacrifice, and love.
Thank you. The last one.
Okay. I have this idea that as a church, we may have to develop a culture of coming closer to the people, like know how people are living. I don't mean to know their private life, but to visit people at their homes and talk to them and know how they are living. Then we may be able to know how this person is going to tithe or to offer. Because maybe sometimes someone is not going to work, like what you were saying, living on paychecks. Maybe somebody is keeping chicken or is having, I don't know, some other type of businesses people are doing. And they need to be told that they need to tithe that which they have, not the cash. Like maybe if people hear of tithe, they think of the cash. So we need to visit people. We need to go to their homes, talk to them, know how they are living, and try to share this word of stewardship at family level.
Okay.
Maybe it can help.
Okay. Pastor, you heard that one. You wanted, oh, you're done. You wanted to say something?
Whilst he's
Remember
getting the
elders, yes, pastors and elders. I'm sure you heard that. People are saying visitors. Can you?
Thank you very much for that comment. I will just give an example. If yesterday we were discussing the same thing, na Maima Fanuke, I have had 2 experiences where I have been in Eastern Central Africa. In one country, where the church which I was attending, the elders and the board members, they had a schedule of, in 6 months, they would have finished visiting every member. Not talking about stewardship, because the issue is the personal spirituality. My relationship with Jesus Christ, as she said, that Jesus was an offering. So, and also when the sense of belonging, if the pastor or the elder visit me, I will feel that sense of belonging. It's, sense of family, and I would have that mentality, mindset of loving God. And there was another comment where he says, we lack love. We need to develop love.
Adam Karakate there. What is end up? The towel.
I can come in whilst the elder is getting a mic.
Can the mics come here, please?
So I think it's very important. The issue of relationship with God is very important with Christ. We discussed these notes. I got them from my class. It's an amazing class. I just want them to, they are there. So the issue is that relationship with Christ. It's very important. Why? Because you look at things like, for example, camp meeting. When we come here, yes, we've got this figure. It's a fixed figure. But the way it should happen, just like we do with our tithes, we should do the same with our offerings, where whatever we are able to, as the Lord has blessed us, we're able to bring this. Then you realize that all the bills, everything that needs to be taken care of would actually flow. There would be no challenge. So if we take it personally to say, what can I do based on the relationship with God? Not so much to say, I think maybe something or somebody might do something. It will really help us in that journey where it's between ourselves, myself, and God. So I think that's very key. Our personal relationships are very important. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Did you get the mic? Okay, Tao.
Yeah. Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So I think, I don't know how many lessons this stewardship that we have had as a church, whether we are at camp meeting or we are at church on Sabbath. I think we have invested a lot of time and money to talk about stewardship. The question that I ask, so I do research, so I'll take a scientific approach, right? Perhaps what we think is a solution, which we have been doing consistently and religiously, which is teaching people about stewardship. And I remember, I think, I don't know how many times you've spoken about this, and I can even remember your voice from way back.
Okay.
Right? But I actually think that, just to build on his point, that I think we are not addressing we may not be addressing the real issue.
Okay.
Because we don't know, we don't have the evidence to say these are the reasons why individuals are not returning their tithe or giving offering. Because this is human behavior, right? And for you to come up with a solution to address a human behavior, it means you need to understand the drivers of why people are behaving the way they are doing.
Okay.
For you to be able to come up with a solution. So I have a question whether as a church, whether it's Hccc or the church, SDA Church Global, whether we have put in some time to do some research to better understand what is driving, you know, the human behavior that we are seeing right now. Because we may spend a lot of time talking about stewardship, still we don't see any improvement.
Okay.
In other words, we are wasting our time.
All right.
I may put it that way.
Okay. Yeah, you know,